Last week I had the opportunity to shoot with my friend James for his model portfolio. My goal was to capture some very honest, simple portraits of James, because these are going to be the first photos that will be used on his portfolio with a new agency. But in addition to that, I also wanted to capture some more interesting compositions and try to think a little bit outside the box when it comes to posing. My approach when it comes to shoots like this, where it is a little bit more experimental, is to rapid fire photos on the digital camera first. It's really nice just having the instant feedback, being able to see the photo on the screen before switching over to the film camera to take the final shot. In terms of the cameras that I used for digital, I had the Canon R6 with a 24-105 f4 lens, and then for the film I used Portra 400 shot through my Mamiya RZ67, and I had two lenses on there. The main one that I used was the 110 2.8, which is a 50mm equivalent, and the other is the 50mm f4.5, which is a 24mm 35 equivalent. So I started off here with some really simple portraits of James, and here I was just trying to get a couple of different compositions, just really solid basic headshots, most of the time just trying to fill the frame. I really love this olive linen backdrop, and we used it for quite a few of the setups during the shoot. I really love the way that the fabric falls, and it just has such a different look to a paper backdrop. Definitely wanted to try a little bit of a wider composition, just like a waist up shot with a bit of extra headroom. And I love how the window sort of cuts that light at the top, so you have this like gradual fall off of light towards the top of the frame. I thought that the floorboards were really cool and just an interesting feature to include in the photos. I actually had him take his shoes off for this photo because I really just wanted a bit more of a casual, like kind of getting ready, getting dressed kind of vibe to the photos. So eventually I had him put his shoes on and just tie up his laces. And for this I purposely chose a bit of a slower shutter. I wanted to sort of capture the movement of his hands there. And I basically just repeated this process with the film camera, and I think this shot on the RZ67 just came out perfectly. It was exactly what I had envisioned. So next up I wanted to try the 24mm focal length. Because the RZ67 has a bellows focusing system, you can focus really close and just get these really like off the wall interesting close-ups. Unfortunately for this one, I actually didn't account for the fact that this lens is 2 stops slower, so I didn't re-meter for the scene. That was my fault. So this photo did come out really underexposed, and I ended up just converting it to black and white. For this next one, I wanted to try a full body shot, but I wanted James to sit down in front of the backdrop and try to create that negative space that I did in the earlier photo. And I just love how the floorboards look in this photo. I was right down nice and close to the floor, so they're very compressed in the photo. And for me, this is one of my favorite photos from the shoot. Next up, I wanted to try shooting from the shadow side of James's face. So I actually grabbed the polyboards and moved them a lot closer for this one, just because I wanted a more flat lighting situation overall. I really like shooting into the light as well. It does actually add a lot of dimension to your photos, and it's a technique that I use quite a lot. So we had an outfit change now, and James was wearing black, so I really wanted to use more of a brighter backdrop just as more of a contrast. So we pushed that olive green backdrop out of the way and just used the natural white wall behind. Again, just going with some really nice, simple, staple close-ups. So I had James sit down against the wall for these next photos, and I shot sort of from above, which I think turned out really cool. But my favorite photo was definitely the one where I had him leaning on the stool that I shot on the film camera. I just think the composition worked really well here. James also had these really cool camouflage shorts, so I definitely wanted to use those. And so we brought the olive backdrop back in, and I wanted to do something a little bit more creative. So I had him facing towards the backdrop. I had him sort of looking off to the left a little bit so you get more of a profile. For these shots, I wanted to show off a little bit more of the character of the space. So I had James lean up against these windows here, which I think are really cool. And I got some shots of him again shooting back into the light. And the more contrasty light closer to the window, I think really shows off more of the definition in his body and his facial features. I had an idea to have him kind of leaning down onto this table, and I tried a couple of photos with the green backdrop, but I found that it just didn't work as well. He didn't really pop off the background, and after I moved the background out of the shot, I was able to get a really beautiful close-up, and I just loved the way that his arms kind of framed the shot. So I was really happy with how this one turned out. So after this, we had a little break, made some tea, and then I got James to grab the mug that he was drinking out of and just go over in the corner and lean against the window. And I wanted to try and create this kind of just very candid photo of him hanging out there drinking. So now we're getting a little bit more experimental. I had James go back into the long trousers, but I just wanted to get like 2 stools and have him kind of cradled between both. And I wasn't sure exactly how this was going to look, but this was the final pose that we landed on, and I actually really like it. Switching back to the wide angle lens for the RZ, I got this really cool photo of James sitting against the wall. In the right moments and the right poses, the wide angle can just really create some interesting photos, and so I always keep it in my bag for this reason. Alright, so last up, this is kind of my last idea for the shoot, was to just have James grab this ladder and just kind of play around with different poses, like holding the ladder, putting it on his shoulder, things like that. And then I played around with a few different compositions on the digital camera before landing on this one composition of him with the ladder on his shoulder on the film camera. And this is again one of my favorite photos from the shoot. So that's it for a very chill and relaxed shoot in the studio. Let me know what you guys thought of the photos down in the comment section below. I also edited all the digital photos with my Lightroom profile, which pretty closely emulates the look and feel that you can get from a film camera like the RZ67. So if you're interested in that, check it out in the description below. And with all that out of the way, I want to say thank you guys so much for watching once again, and I'll see you all in the next video.